heart of Los Angeles, beneath the skyline of billion-dollar buildings, thousands sleep on sidewalks wrapped in plastic, inches from speeding cars. They fight freezing nights with cardboard, hunger with trash, and trauma with fentanyl. Mental illness goes untreated. Poverty goes ignored. Police tear down their tents. Society looks away. Some die quietly. Others scream into the void. This isn't a distant tragedy. It's happening now. This is Skid Row, and this is California's Heartbreak. Welcome to Globe Path Travel Documentary, where we uncover the untold stories behind the world's most iconic places. Today, we're not showing you beaches or skylines. We're showing you the truth. Just minutes from Hollywood's fame and fortune lies Skid Row, a place where over 10,000 people live without shelter, safety, or hope. This isn't just homelessness. It's addiction, mental illness, poverty, and survival on the edge. If you believe these stories deserve to be seen, heard, and understood, then please like, share, and subscribe, because awareness is the first step toward change. Sidewalks as beds, the new reality. In the heart of Los Angeles, beneath the glow of luxury high-rises and celebrity billboards, thousands of people sleep directly on the concrete. No mattress, no pillow, no roof above their heads. These sidewalks, once meant for footsteps and city life, have become makeshift bedrooms, survival zones, and silent graveyards. Some wrap themselves in torn plastic sheets. Others lie exposed to the cold, the heat, and the violence that creeps through the night. Rain soaks through cardboard shelters, wind cuts through thin blankets, and rats scurry past sleeping bodies. The roar of traffic replaces lullabies, and the threat of assault or theft is constant. There are no doors to lock, no walls to shield them, just the raw pavement and the hope that they'll wake up in the morning. For many, sleep isn't rest. It's a battle against exhaustion, fear, and the elements. This isn't a temporary crisis. It's a permanent condition. In 2025, sidewalks have become the last refuge for those abandoned by the system, and society walks past them every day, stepping over lives, ignoring suffering, and pretending not to see. But they are there, living, breathing, surviving, and the concrete beneath their bodies tells a story the city refuses to hear. Footpaths turned into survival zones. Once meant for footsteps and morning jogs, the footpaths of Los Angeles have transformed into desperate survival zones. Narrow strips of pavement now functioning as homes, kitchens, and shelters for thousands. Here, people cook meals over open flames fueled by scavenged wood and broken furniture, their pots balanced on bricks, their food often donated or salvaged from trash bins. Buckets lined along the curb serve as sinks, bathtubs, and laundry stations, where clothes are scrubbed with dish soap and hung to dry on shopping carts and fences. Children play beside traffic, their toys made from discarded plastic, their laughter echoing through a backdrop of sirens and shouting. Families live in tents stitched together from tarps, blankets, and duct tape, fragile structures that collapse in the rain and offer no protection from heat or violence. These footpaths are not temporary shelters. They are permanent homes built from scraps and survival instincts. There's no electricity, no plumbing, no privacy. Every square foot is claimed, defended, and repurposed. People sleep shoulder to shoulder, their belongings packed into grocery carts, their lives reduced to what fits on a sidewalk. And yet, within this chaos, routines emerge. Morning cleanups, shared meals, whispered prayers. It's a community forged not by choice, but by necessity. In 2025, these footpaths are no longer part of the city. They are the city for those who have nowhere else to go. And while the world rushes past, these survival zones remain, unseen, unspoken, and unbearably real. Sleeping next to speeding cars, just beyond the edge of the sidewalk, where the curb meets the chaos of city traffic, thousands of homeless individuals sleep inches from speeding cars because there's simply nowhere else to go. Shelters are full, parks are patrolled, and alleyways are claimed. So the roadside becomes the last resort. Blankets are laid down beside yellow lines. Tents are pitched just feet from the roar of engines. And every night, the lullaby isn't silence. It's the deafening sound of tires screeching, horns blaring, and exhaust fumes filling the air. People sleep with their backs to the street, their heads inches from danger. One wrong move, one distracted driver, one moment of drowsiness behind the wheel, and life ends instantly. There are no guardrails, no barriers, just a thin line between survival and tragedy. And yet this risk becomes routine. Mothers cradle infants beside traffic lights. Elderly men curl up near freeway ramps. Some sleep beneath overpasses, where the echo of vehicles never stops. The ground vibrates with every passing truck. The air is thick with pollution, and the fear of being hit is constant, but so is the exhaustion. For many, the choice isn't between safety and danger. It's between sleeping here or not sleeping at all. The roadside offers visibility, airflow, and space, but it also offers exposure to theft, assault, and death. People have been struck. Tents have been crushed. Lives have ended in silence, with no headlines, no outrage, no justice. And still, every night more bodies line the curb. Some place traffic cones around their sleeping spots. Others use reflective tape, hoping to be seen. But in a city that doesn't look, visibility is no guarantee. In 2025, sleeping beside speeding cars is no longer shocking. It's normalized. It's a symptom of a system stretched beyond its limits. A city where the pavement is more accessible than a bed. And while commuters rush past, barely noticing the figures curled beside the road, these individuals remain, risking everything for a few hours of rest. Because when danger is your only shelter, you take the risk. Fentanyl, the escape that kills. In the heart of Skid Row, where despair hangs heavy in the air and hope feels like a distant memory, fentanyl has become the drug of choice and the weapon of destruction. It's everywhere, sold in alleyways, passed hand to hand in tent cities, hidden in corners where shadows stretch long. It's cheap, just a few dollars for a hit, and it's powerful, far more potent than heroin, crack, or meth. For many living on the streets, it's not about getting high, it's about escaping the trauma of abuse, the pain of mental illness, the crushing weight of poverty, rejection, and isolation. Fentanyl offers a moment of silence, a pause from the chaos, a temporary numbness that feels like peace. But it's a peace laced with poison. Every hit is a gamble. The line between euphoria and death is razor thin. Dealers mix it with other substances, sometimes unknowingly, sometimes carelessly. There's no regulation, no safety net. One dose too strong and it's over. The body shuts down, breathing slows, the heart stops, and just like that, another life is lost. Overdose deaths in Skid Row have skyrocketed. Emergency responders race to revive people with Narcan, but they can't be everywhere. They can't keep up. People collapse in doorways, in tents, on sidewalks. Some are found clutching pipes, others with needles still in their arms. And the tragedy isn't just the death, it's the reason behind it. These aren't addicts chasing thrills, they're survivors chasing relief. Veterans haunted by war, teens kicked out for being queer, mothers who lost custody, fathers who lost jobs, people who've been broken by a system that never gave them a chance. Fentanyl is the escape that kills, and yet for many, it feels like the only option. The only way to silence the screaming inside. The only way to sleep through the cold. The only way to forget the hunger, the violence, the loneliness. It's not just a drug, it's a symptom. A symptom of a society that treats trauma with punishment and pain with neglect. In 2025, Skid Row is littered with bodies, not because people want to die, but because they've been given nothing to live for. And until we address the root causes, until we offer real support, real healing, real hope, fentanyl will keep claiming lives, quietly, ruthlessly, one dose at a time. Mental illness in the shadows, in the alleys of Skid Row, beneath the noise of traffic and the rustle of tents, there's a silence that screams louder than any siren. It's the silence of mental illness, unseen, untreated, and ignored. Schizophrenia, PTSD, bipolar disorder, depression. These aren't just diagnoses here. They're daily realities. They shape how people see the world, how they interact, how they survive. And yet, there are no therapists walking these streets, no clinics offering consistent care, no medication to balance the chaos inside. Mental health is the silent epidemic. one that's been pushed into the shadows, left to fester in minds already burdened by trauma and isolation. You see it in the man talking to voices no one else hears, in the woman rocking back and forth, eyes wide with fear, in the veteran who flinches at every sound, reliving battles long past. These are not criminals, not threats. They are people, broken by life, abandoned by systems, and trapped in their own minds. Without treatment, schizophrenia becomes a prison. PTSD becomes a minefield. Bipolar disorder becomes a roller coaster with no brakes. And depression? It becomes a weight so heavy some choose to end the pain rather than carry it another day. There's no safety net here, no early intervention, no gentle guidance, just survival. And for those with mental illness, survival is a daily war. They're misunderstood, feared, and often criminalized. Police are called instead of counselors. Jail replaces therapy. And the cycle continues. Trauma feeding illness, illness feeding isolation. Medications are expensive, hard to access, and often stolen. Therapy is a luxury. Stability is a dream. So people suffer in silence. They wander the streets, lost in thought, lost in memory, lost in pain, and the world walks past them, labeling them as crazy, dangerous, or hopeless. But they're not hopeless. They're human. And their suffering is not a choice, it's a consequence of neglect, of stigma, of a system that values punishment over healing. In 2025, mental illness on Skid Row is not just a health crisis, it's a moral one. Because when we ignore the minds of the most vulnerable, we lose our own humanity. And until we bring mental health out of the shadows, until we offer compassion, care, and connection, these minds will remain trapped. Not by illness alone, but by our silence. Addiction, a life consumed. Addiction doesn't begin with drugs, it begins with pain. On Skid Row, meth, heroin, and fentanyl aren't just highs, they're escapes. People used to forget trauma, silence hunger, numb cold, but every hit pulls them deeper. First the mind goes, judgment fades, emotions blur, then the body, scars, sickness, decay, then everything else, family, dignity, identity. They're not chasing pleasure, they're running from suffering. And when rehab is out of reach, when support doesn't exist, relapse becomes routine. Society sees addicts as criminals, but they're survivors, trapped in a cycle they never chose. Addiction here isn't weakness, it's a symptom of a broken system, and every time we ignore it, another life disappears. Poverty, the root of the crisis, before the addiction, before the homelessness, before the tents and the trauma, there was poverty, quiet, creeping, relentless poverty. Most people on Skid Row didn't start with drugs. They started with jobs, with families, with dreams. But poverty has a way of unraveling lives thread by thread. A lost job, a rent hike, a medical emergency, one setback, and the spiral begins. Savings vanish. Bills pile up. Eviction notices appear. And suddenly someone who once had stability is sleeping in their car, then on a friend's couch, then on the street. Poverty isn't just a lack of money, it's a trap. It pulls people under slowly, suffocating them with impossible choices. Pay rent or buy food, skip medication or skip work, stay in an abusive situation or risk homelessness. And once you fall in, climbing out becomes nearly impossible. Employers don't hire the homeless. Landlords don't rent to the jobless. Banks don't lend to the broke. The system is built to keep the poor poor. And in cities like Los Angeles, where the cost of living skyrockets and wages stagnate, poverty spreads like wildfire. You see it in the faces of people who never imagined they'd end up here. Teachers, nurses, construction workers, veterans, single parents, people who worked hard, followed the rules, and still lost everything. Poverty strips away more than possessions. It strips away dignity, identity, hope. It forces people to make choices no one should have to make. And when the stress becomes unbearable, when the shame becomes too heavy, many turn to drugs to escape, to survive. So when we talk about homelessness, addiction, mental illness, we must talk about poverty because it's the root, the beginning, the silent force that pushes people to the edge. And unless we address it, unless we create systems that protect, uplift, and support, this crisis will never end. In 2025, poverty isn't just a condition, it's a warning, a reminder that no one is immune, that one bad month, one missed paycheck, one emergency can change everything. Invisible to society. They sit on sidewalks, sleep under bridges, stand on corners with signs that say, hungry, cold, help. But most people walk past without a glance, no eye contact, no conversation, no acknowledgement, as if these individuals don't exist, as if their pain isn't real. In the heart of the city, surrounded by millions, they are utterly alone. Not because they're hidden, but because they've been made invisible. Society doesn't see them as people. It sees them as problems, as shadows, as clutter. They're stepped over, avoided, ignored. Drivers roll up windows. Pedestrians cross the street. Store owners shoo them away. And the message is clear. You don't belong. Their suffering is met with silence. Their humanity denied. And over time, they begin to believe it. That they are less. That they are forgotten. That they are nothing. This invisibility is more than social. It's psychological. It erodes self-worth. It deepens trauma. It isolates. Imagine crying for help and no one hears you. Imagine being hungry and no one offers food. Imagine being cold and no one even looks your way. That's the daily reality for thousands on Skid Row. And it's not just heartbreaking, it's dehumanizing. They are artists, veterans, mothers, sons, people with stories, talents, dreams. But those stories are buried beneath layers of stigma and silence. And the longer they're ignored, the harder it becomes to return. Because when the world treats you like a ghost, you start to fade. In 2025, invisibility is the cruelest form of violence. It doesn't leave bruises, it leaves emptiness. And until we choose to see, truly see, the people behind the tents, behind the addiction, behind the pain, nothing will change. Because visibility is the first step to dignity, and dignity is the first step to healing. Police raids tent. Evictions. At dawn, when the streets are quiet and the city still sleeps, flashing lights appear on Skid Row. Sirens echo, boots hit pavement, and then chaos. Police raids begin. Officers move in with trucks, bulldozers, and trash bags. Tents are torn down, belongings are scattered. Blankets, clothes, medications, everything someone owns, dumped, destroyed, or confiscated. There's no warning, no conversation, no alternatives, just force, just displacement. For the people living here, these tents aren't just shelters. They're homes. They're the last shred of privacy, safety, and dignity they have. And when they're ripped away, it's not just physical, it's emotional, it's psychological. Imagine waking up to find your entire life being thrown into a garbage truck. Your memories, your survival tools, your identity, gone in minutes. And it doesn't happen once. It happens again and again. A cycle of eviction and despair. People rebuild, they gather scraps, they pitch new tents. And then, another sweep, another raid, another reminder that they are unwanted, that their existence is a nuisance, that their pain is disposable. Authorities say it's about sanitation, about public safety. But there's no plan for where people should go. No housing, no shelter beds, no support, just displacement. And when you push people out without giving them somewhere to go, you're not solving a problem, you're spreading it. You're deepening trauma, you're fueling addiction, you're breaking spirits. In 2025, police raids on Skid Row aren't just operations. They're acts of erasure. They erase homes, erase dignity, erase lives. And until we stop treating homelessness like a crime and start treating it like a crisis, this cycle will continue. Because tearing down tents doesn't end suffering, it multiplies it. Hope lives in small acts. Even in the harshest corners of Skid Row, where pain feels endless and survival is a daily battle, hope still flickers. It doesn't roar, it whispers. It lives in small acts. A volunteer kneeling to hand someone a warm meal, not just tossing it from a distance. A blanket offered with eye contact and a smile. A conversation that begins with "How are you?" instead of "Move along." These moments may seem small, but here they are monumental. Former addicts return, not as victims, but as healers. They walk the same streets they once stumbled through, now offering guidance, Narcan, and encouragement. They know the pain. They speak the language of survival, and their presence is proof that recovery is possible, that transformation can happen, that the story doesn't have to end in tragedy. Sometimes it's a stranger who stops to listen, a donated pair of shoes, a shared cigarette, a hug. These gestures don't solve homelessness. They don't erase trauma, but they remind people that they're still human, that they're still seen, that they still matter. And in a place where invisibility is the norm, being seen can be life-saving. Hope here isn't loud, it's quiet, it's fragile, but it's real. It breathes in the resilience of those who refuse to give up, in the laughter that still echoes between tents, in the art painted on cardboard walls, in the poetry written on scraps of paper. Humanity hasn't died in Skid Row. It's just been buried beneath layers of pain. And every act of kindness is a shovel, a way to dig it back up, to uncover it, to nurture it. In 2025, amidst the sirens and the suffering, hope lives, not in policies or promises, but in people, in small acts, in shared moments, in the belief that even here, even now, something better is possible. Conclusion. A city of shadows and light, Skid Row isn't just a place, it's a mirror, a reflection of everything. Society chooses to ignore. Cold nights without shelter, addiction that consumes, mental illness left untreated, poverty that traps, police raids that erase, and a silence that makes people invisible. These aren't isolated tragedies. They're interconnected threads in a fabric woven from neglect, stigma, and systemic failure. But within this darkness, there are flickers of light, small acts of kindness, volunteers who show up, survivors who return to help, moments of humanity that remind us these are not statistics. They are people, with names, with stories, with dreams that haven't died, just been buried. In 2025, the crisis on Skid Row is not just about homelessness. It's about who we are as a society, what we choose to see, what we choose to ignore, and whether we have the courage to act, not with judgment, but with compassion. Because change doesn't begin with sweeping policies or grand speeches. It begins with seeing, with listening, with caring. And maybe, just maybe, if enough of us choose to see the humanity in the shadows, the light will grow, and Skid Row will no longer be a place people disappear into, but a place they rise from. If this story moved you, if even one moment made you pause, reflect, or feel something, then don't let it end here. Like this video to help more people see what's hidden in plain sight. Subscribe to the channel for more raw, real stories that challenge the silence. And comment below, not just with thoughts, but with empathy. Share your voice, share your perspective. Because every comment is a reminder that someone cares, that someone sees. This isn't just content, it's a call to see the unseen, to speak for the unheard, to stand for the forgotten. So if you're with us, if you believe in truth, in change, in humanity, then hit that subscribe button. Let's build a community that doesn't look away. Until next time, stay aware, stay kind, and never underestimate the power of small acts.